Welcome to Inside Fall River. Inside Fall River is produced by Fall River Community Television, and it intends to provide television programming for, of, and by individuals and groups to celebrate the resources, the diverse people, the varied concerns, the abundant successes, and the shared potential and responsibility of the Fall River community. I am Stephen Camara, and my co-host is Wendy Goff-Lip. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Inside Fall River, or if you have a group or topic that you would like to have discussed on Inside Fall River, contact me at Bristol Community College. Also, you may access Fall River Community Television on our website, on Facebook, or on Twitter. Enjoy Inside Fall River, and remember, your feedback to this program is welcomed and encouraged. Pleased to have as my guest, representatives from Forever Paws here in Fall River, a no-kill animal shelter and one that's had great success. So I'd like to begin first by introducing you. We have both the president and our treasurer, Gail Furtado, and Beverly Andrade, and we've known each other a long time, and I know that the work that you've done has been outstanding. So, but give for our audience members who may not be familiar with Forever Paws a brief overview of how you came about, why you've come about, and what kinds of successes you've had during the years you've been in existence.
Well, Steve, we've been in existence for 16 years now. Hard to believe, but we have been. And basically, Forever Paws is, as you pointed out, we're a no-kill shelter in the city of Fall River, and we work with abused, stray, and abandoned animals. You know, it's a labor of love. We only have currently 9 staff on board with us, four of which work in the kennels that are full-time, and 1 is our office manager. So we rely a great deal on volunteers at the shelter, and we rely a great deal on the community to help us out. But the animals, you know, we've been, like I said, 16 years. Bev and I have started off as volunteers at the shelter, and a lot of the staff that I hire start off as volunteers, and we continue to, you know, it's a labor of love, a love that we really enjoy helping out, and the mission is to help, you know, abused, abandoned, stray animals, and to give them a new leash on life. And that's a brief one. I could go on for hours, but that's basically what we do for the animals in the area.
And just a bit about where you are. Where is the shelter located?
We're located at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River. We're almost on the Tiverton line. If you walk over to a little further over, you would be in Tiverton, Rhode Island. All I can do is a landmark. If you use Henry Lord School, you pass Henry Lord School on the right, and a little bit further down on the left is Fall River Paws. And
people are welcome to visit this site?
Absolutely. We're open 6 days a week. We're closed on Wednesdays. We're open to the public 11 to 4.
And I know, just to give credit where credit's due, that many people came together to make this happen, including, I think, maybe even the city of Fall River might have had a small role to play. So why don't we give some credit where credit is due to all who have made this shelter a reality here on Linwood.
Well, in actuality, City Councilor Pat Casey helped us a great deal. She was able to help us find someone that was willing to donate the land. We were evicted on Montaut Street, so we were looking for some land in the city, and we went out and we tried to help. Ed Lammett at the time was our mayor, and he was also instrumental in, you know, putting out the word for us. Any field as anybody could help us out with. We did get the land. We've been very fortunate. In Mr. Lambert's administration and now current Mayor Flanagan administration have been very good to us as far as supporting us. They helped us with the polar plunge in January. Mayor Flanagan's done that for the last 2 years when he's been mayor. So they've been very supportive. And then we also have a couple of, we call benefactors that have helped us out a great deal. And Bev will talk about some of the new things that have happened at the shelter. And we just are very blessed to have people that have always willing to donate and help us out. We have benefactors, I guess I can use their names, Carol and Len Amrall, that have been wonderful to us. And matter of fact, I'll put a little plug in, they've actually have at Seekonk Speedway, there's a bulletin board up there now, a billboard, which has got Forever Paws on it, and they're sponsoring a car that also has Forever Paws on the car, so at the racetrack. So we're excited about that. That's something new this year. Just getting our name out there for Joe Public to see us. And We're really appreciative of that.
Well, let's transition then to that question, and Bev, if you can take it. What's happening at the shelter? What's new at the shelter?
Well, Steve, I'd like to take a couple of hours of your time, but I guess I'll have to condense it. There is always something new going on at Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Right now, we are in the middle or late middle of building or renovating, I would say, our medical room. The medical room, being 7 years old in the new building, has taken a lot of abuse. It's the room where the grooming is done, all the medical work is done. The counters, the walls, the floors were all getting beat up. So we did a little campaign, a little fundraising effort, and we got enough money to revamp the room. A lot of the work was donated. A lot of the contractors gave us low prices, nonprofit prices, and the room is looking beautiful. It's 99.8% finished. There's a few little things, a little shelf here, a couple of locks there, little piece of granite that's not quite put in its place yet, but the bulk of that room is finished and it looks professional. The reason that we wanted to do that room is we have some veterinarians in the city who are volunteering their time, giving us 2 hours a month, and now when they go into the building and they go into the medical room, it looks like a medical facility. So it's really coming along really nice.
Great. Now, Bev, just to interject, when you say grooming and medical services, are these exclusively for the residents? We'll call the pets that are living there the residents of the building? Or is it also open to the community?
No. There is a small part open to the community. On the first Monday of every month, we have a vet clinic, and that's a microchipping clinic and a rabies clinic. They will do a slight little well visit. The vet will tell the client on that particular day, your animal is looking like it has an illness, you need to really take this animal to the vet. This animal may have to be neutered, it may have to be spayed. We don't do any of those services. We're strictly a microchipping clinic and a rabies clinic. And that is where a lot of the vets that are volunteering their time come in. But the vets also come in and take care of our animals, which is helping us by avoiding office visits at the local vets that we work with. The office visits alone run into a lot of money. So by having the vets come into the medical room, that's all brand new, they do the well visits right there in the shelter. And the grooming is only animals that are ours.
That are there. And there are many of them. We're going to be showing as we speak some of the photos of some of your both current and past residents, all of which are available for adoption. So if we can now focus, Gail, on give us some idea of how many of our four-legged friends and maybe even some two-legged friends. I don't know if you have any birds.
Not currently.
I know you have a rabbit. I saw a great,
we've
great
had rabbits,
of a rabbit, but they're four-legged creatures as well. So tell us a little bit about those that are seeking adoption.
Well, for the past year, we adopted out 308 cats, Steve, and 202 dogs. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, you know, Forever Paws, every time they see a dog on our website and so on, they'll say, oh, all you have is pit bulls. And out of those 202 dogs, there were only 50 that were purely defined as pit bulls. So that's, you know, that gives you an idea of rough estimate of how many dogs, you know, animals we're servicing. That's over 500 animals a year, which is not a bad deal. Right now, currently, we have 84 cats at the shelter, and we also have, I think it's 33 dogs.
Wow, so that's quite an allotment and quite an array of options for anyone that might be looking for a pet. And of course, if I might editorialize, we do encourage people to take a look at a shelter animal. They're great, although not necessarily pedigree. Many are mixed breeds, but you do once in a while get dogs that have a pure pedigree, looking for homes, and you can certainly find a whole lot of love at a place like Forever Paws. Let's talk about some future activities. I know I've cautioned because this is pre-broadcast, so we want to focus on future activities. And I know you have a website as well, so why don't you take that, Bev, and tell us a little bit about upcoming events and what the community might do to assist in the work that you're doing.
Well, what I would say to all the community out there is go on to our website, which is www.foreverpaws.com, or visit us on Facebook and look at our upcoming events, highlights that are on our homepage. Currently, we have many events coming on, but I think the one that we want to talk about will be the one in August. We have an event on August 11th. We call it the Portuguese Firefighter event. I believe his name is Steve Lopes, and that's going to be held at the Elks Club in Fall River at the North End. And in September at Rachel's Lakesider, we have our annual fundraising event with a dinner and a silent auction, and that's always great to go to. And that's going to be, I believe that's going to be on our website already too, so you'll see that there.
Great. So we're going to post those. We'll make sure we also run them on the community bulletin board here at FRC TV. But if you could just repeat those dates and how people might be able to get tickets for those events.
Well, to get a ticket, the first thing you would need to do is just get on the website and find the event. And there's a telephone number that's usually listed next to the events to contact for tickets. August 11th, the Portuguese firefighter Stephen Lopes is putting on an event at the Elks Club on the north end of Fall River. I believe those tickets are $25, and that will include a meal. A Portuguese meal. And the other event is being held September 28th at Rachel's Lakesider. That is a Friday evening, and those tickets are $40. And we also have the silent auction at that event. So just look on the website, find the phone number, and give us a call.
Also for the Portuguese Firefighter, we're going to have a DJ. So there'll be a cocktail hour at the beginning of the evening, and then we'll have the DJ after Steve Lopes.
Great. So a great evening of fun.
Yes.
And good food, and most of all, an opportunity to assist our furry friends,
Yes.
cats, dogs, and that rabbit. Is the rabbit still resident?
No, rabbits are gone. We've got them all adopted out.
Excellent, excellent.
They could be coming in by tomorrow. We never know.
Bunnies have a way of multiplying
Yes.
quickly, so
Yes.
you never know, right?
Yeah, we did find that out at the shelter, by the way.
And that's something I guess that we should also emphasize, is that there's a constant turnover. How often, if someone comes to the shelter and doesn't necessarily find the pet of their dream, how often does the population change? Changes
every day, Steve. You know, it's incredible. I can go in, like I was just in Monday, checking out with the staff and looking around, and then I come back, you know, I can go back tomorrow, which I will be doing, and I'll find that there isn't, you know, that dog I was looking at the other day, a little quite cute little white poodle, is not there any longer. You know, but we do keep animals for 10 minutes, and 10 days, excuse me, 10 days, and then they're sent over to us, and then we decide what we're going to do with them. So, and again, I want to emphasize for Forever Paws is that we don't sell animals, we adopt animals. We make a perfect match. You know, the staff works very hard at making sure that you get the correct animal for you. If you have another dog in your home, we check, you know, to see if the dog will work together. We call it a meet and greet out in our play yard. We also will check to see if the animal is good with, you know, a cat or, you know, children. We try to work it out to the best so that, you know, it finds their forever home. That's the whole point of Forever Paws, is for the forever home.
Well, we're blessed in this community to have the both of you, which I guess you've been there since day one?
We've been there for, no, we both have been there for 15 years.
15, almost day one, right?
Yep.
Almost.
And so many volunteers that we give credit to for the work that they do, and we want the community to support this effort. So let's repeat once again the website and the means of getting connected to Forever Paws, so that we can provide help to the residents of Forever Paws that would much rather be in a home.
Yes, again, like Bev said, it's www.foreverpaws.com, you know, and we also have Facebook. We have a Facebook page. It's just being worked on right now, and hopefully when this airs, it will be taken, you know, will be up and running. We do have a membership of over 400, almost 500 members on our Facebook, and we've just begun to work on an account for Twitter, which will be connected with our Facebook account. And again, you can always call Forever Paws at 508-677-9154. And you know, the staff is great. Volunteers help us with the phone, and they'll let you know what we have available if you don't have access to a computer. And you can always go down there, except on Wednesdays from 11 to 4.
Excellent.
And also, may I add?
Sure, absolutely.
Anyone out there in the community that is interested in volunteering, we have a great volunteer program. We have a volunteer handbook, and we have volunteer t-shirts. They're bright yellow. When you walk through the building and you see all these yellow t-shirts, you realize how many people in the community come and work for us. Most of the volunteers have to be 16 and older. We do take senior citizen volunteers. We take people who just want to walk dogs. We take people who are just interested in the cats, people that are interested in office work, fundraising committees, all aspects of running an animal shelter. So please
Excellent.
come down and volunteer.
Hi, I'm Wendy Garflip from United Neighbors, and this is Inside Fall River. Our guest today is the Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center of Bristol County, Michelle LaRanger. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Wendy.
Tell me a little bit about the Children's Advocacy Center and the work that you do.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. The Children's Advocacy Center is both a place and a process for child victims of abuse and their families. Our mission is to assist child victims of abuse and really help them in the road to healing. We provide direct services, and we're also doing some broader work in the community. But just to talk a little bit about the direct services that we provide specially trained child forensic interviewing. So when a child has shared of their victimization of abuse, but particularly sexual abuse is what we focus on, we are contacted by agencies who have investigative responsibilities, the Department of Children and Families, law enforcement, or the District Attorney's Office. And they access our specially trained child forensic interviewers to determine if a crime has been committed, and also as part of the process to get the child some help and help them on their road to healing. We also have on-site, very highly specialized sexual assault nurse examiner services, and that too is part of the investigative process. Though we also work very closely with emergency departments and pediatricians in the area. And so the direct services are really around the investigative pieces when a child has made a disclosure of abuse, but as I said, particularly sexual abuse. I say one of the most important pieces that we do after the investigation is over, which is a fairly short-lived process, is really help kids and families get access to community-based services that will help them in their journey to healing.
Great. Before we go any further, I know that a lot of people don't like to talk about child sexual abuse. They feel it's something best whispered about or left in the closet, but I think it's very important that we talk a little bit about the prevalence of child sexual abuse, both here in our community and nationwide. Can you talk to that for a minute?
Sure. National statistics tell us 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be the victim of child sexual abuse before the age of 18. We have a real problem with this issue. I think most recent examples of that in the press are the Penn State, the Syracuse University incidences and issues that have been brought to the forefront. But it exists locally. We have an issue with Bristol County as well. We are seeing almost 400 children and families a year here in Bristol County. 66% of all of our business is made up by Fall River and New Bedford. So child sexual abuse is an issue. It's not going away. The national statistics have stayed steady for many, many years, and the numbers are staggering. A child is more at risk to be the victim of child sexual abuse before their 18th birthday than incidences of autism, childhood cancer, and being born with developmental disabilities.
Those are amazing statistics. I imagine that a lot of the people do not report this. So when you say 66%, it's probably a much higher number than that. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Right.
We know that the reports of child sexual abuse are significantly underreported. We know the reasons for it as well, but we know that it is a very underreported incidence.
I understand that the Child Advocacy Center does prevention work and education work. You want to tell us a little bit about those two areas and what you're doing in those areas?
In addition to the direct services that we do once a child has shared of their victimization, we also are trying to really get towards awareness and education towards the goal of prevention. We would much prefer to be educating folks around how to avoid this from happening in their lives as opposed to dealing with the direct services after. So to that goal, we are out in the community talking with people like you, and we are in the schools when we can be. We cover all of Bristol County, so we have a lot of territory to cover. But we feel very, very strongly at the Children's Advocacy Center that child abuse is an adult issue. Adults perpetrate the abuse, and we as an adult society need to eradicate this. And so we place a very high priority on our education and prevention on adults to become informed on the dynamics of sexual abuse, what contributes to it, where to go if you learn about it, how to ask questions to become informed, how to be careful around educating your children, how to talk about safety with your children in terms of helping educate parents on how to educate their children around safe touches and quite frankly, keeping their private body parts safe. So we spend a lot of time trying to educate adults in Bristol County on the issue of child sexual abuse, what to do if you learn of this, and preventative measures. We also are doing health fairs in high schools and middle schools to educate children on the laws related to sexting and the use of technology, around social coercion, sexual coercion, kind of the sexualized version of bullying. And so we are using any forum we're invited to talk about the issue of child sexual abuse.
And I understand that you are available to go out to local groups, neighborhood associations or service providers to give this information and to do a presentation. So how do people get in contact with you if they'd like to learn more?
Yes. So to reach us, just call us at the Children's Advocacy Center. Our phone number is 508-674-6111. That's our Fall River phone number. We're physically located in Fall River, but we cover all of Bristol County, and we'll travel wherever the need is. And folks can access some information on our website. That is www.cacofbc.org.
So say it again.
cacofbc.org.
Great. You mentioned something about teaching people about the dynamics of child sexual abuse. Can you talk to that a little bit? What does that mean? What are the dynamics involved in this?
Again, the statistics, as I mentioned, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys, but as you mentioned, we know that this is a very underreported incident. 90% of all aggressors and perpetrators of child sexual abuse are known, loved, and trusted by the family member that they're victimizing. So that causes a great deal of confusion, complication, underreporting. And we know that perpetrators of child sexual abuse go through extraordinary lengths to make sure that it is kept a secret. So through the use of fear, shame, intimidation, coercion, enticement with material goods. We know that child sexual abuse is a chronic situation and that children generally don't tell of their victimization until long after it stops for the reasons that I just talked about. This is someone who they at one time trusted, someone that they loved at one time, and so coming forward with what they know was what was happening was wrong is very, very difficult for them. And so we know delayed disclosure is the norm for child sexual abuse. And it causes a great deal of confusion and complications in families.
What should parents be doing to keep their children safe and informed about this issue?
Absolutely. It's never too early to start talking to your children about safety. Just as we train children to wear a bicycle helmet when they're riding their bike or how to cross the street safely, children need to be educated using the proper terminology for their private body parts and how to keep their private body parts safe and who can touch them and who cannot touch them. Doctors in times of need, but really if they're not comfortable and if it's not something that should happen, that they need to know that no one should be touching their body.
You and I were just part of a program last Friday, a Piece by Piece Summit with high school youth. And one of the scenarios we presented was that one girl disclosed to her best friend that in fact she was being touched. And did her best friend have an obligation to report it? And I was quite surprised at the response from the youth that in fact, I would say about 50% of them said it wasn't their job to get her to report this. And you spoke very beautifully about how you have to take responsibility when someone comes to you and report it to the right person. But the kids asked a good question. Who do they report this to? Do they call you? Are there other avenues? How do you get this information to the right person without disrupting everyone's life.
Right. Well, we know it's going to disrupt people's lives, but we say
true.
that that's actually a small price to pay
That is very true.
for the safety. And I think trying to educate people to say keeping someone safe is really the priority. What they should do is they could call the Children's Advocacy Center, and we will help them navigate the systems that they need to go through to report this abuse. It's a crime. It needs to be reported to the child welfare system. So we will help them figure out who they need to call. But they could call the Department of Children and Families to make a report of abuse, or they can go to their local police station to make this report as well. That would be what we would guide them to do.
And what happens if the abuse took place a while ago and the young adult is just coming to terms with it, is just recognizing that perhaps she has some outlet? Right. Can she come and report it years later?
Absolutely.
Months later?
Absolutely, yes. It's never too late to report a crime, and it would be up to the district attorney's office to determine the statute of limitations, which has complicated and has changed a lot in over the last 5 years. So I would leave it up to the professionals at the district attorney's office to make sure that it met the statute of limitations. As it relates to the prosecution and the crime, it's never too late to come forward to get help and work on their healing, and that's the piece that we would embrace and try to help them get help.
And do you think that children that don't confront this when they're younger, does it go on to cause problems later on in life? And are there things that we see because they kept this information hidden?
Well, we see a whole spectrum. We always have hope that resilience in individual victims, and how it impacts individuals, there's quite the range. Some it has lifelong implications, and some go on to lead very normal, healthy lives. And so what we do at the Children's Advocacy Center is really work on those connections with services that will foster the best opportunity for their resiliency, and really getting them connected with appropriate services so that they can deal with this. We know traumatic events to children can have an impact, and like I said, there's a kind of a broad spectrum of impact to children and families, and their support systems and their connection with services, and their willingness to address this issue and take it on are all kind of factors that help determine the level of resiliency on behalf of the child and family.
If a child has been victimized, is it the parent that needs to call, or can a caring adult call? I know that some people are mandated to report.
Right.
Teachers are mandated to report.
Yeah.
Camp counselors are mandated to report. Who else is mandated, and who can make that telephone call on behalf of the child?
Sure. Anyone that works with children are considered mandated reporters. Police, teachers, anyone in a profession where you come into contact with children is a mandated reporter.
And let's explain for everybody what that means, mandated reporter.
Sure. So this is based on a state law, Chapter 119, 51A and B, identifies those professions that work with children are required by law when they suspect, and I think that's an important piece. You don't need the facts. When you have suspicion of abuse, you're mandated to call the Department of Children and Families, the state child welfare agency, with that mandate to do investigations and help children who have been victims of abuse, and to file a report based on what you know.
And can any caring adult call on behalf of the child, or does it have to be a parent that calls? What happens if the parent is the perpetrator?
Can call.
Anybody can call on behalf
Anyone
of the
can
child.
call and make a report of abuse and neglect. And I would like to say, in the training that we do at the Children's Advocacy Center, I would appeal to the community's ethical responsibilities as adults, mandated or not, that if you have suspicion that a child is being mistreated, abused, neglected, we all as a society have an ethical responsibility to protect our children.
You know, we're very quick to talk about protecting our environment. We're very quick to talk about a number of things. Children are our most important possession, but yet we seem to be reluctant because of the words sexual abuse, sexual awareness. So we just want to remind people again that this is your responsibility. This is part of what you can do to help the world be a better place. Please give us your website and telephone number again, and we thank you so much for being with us on Inside Fall River.
Thank you. The Children's Advocacy Center phone number is 508-674-6111, and our website is cacofbc.org.